Hello, class. Thank you for coming to my week 2 multimedia discussion board. In chapter 1, page 9 discusses transformational theory. In summary, transformational theory is a perspective which views conflict as a vital social function where tensions are released and new communal norms are established or refined. Um, So in this chapter, it references um, L.A. Coaster and the book that he wrote, journal article that he was involved in, Social Conflict and the Theory of Social Change, where it kind of elaborates further on transformational theory, and he discusses how individual stress um, is relieved during changes through acting out, or they may act in a deviant manner. This is because change naturally brings stress to people, and as a result, some people just don't know how to release this stress, and it can release negative outputs, which can be perceived as acting out. This acting out can have dysfunctional consequences for the system, which leads to conflict. So an example that I can think of is, where we work at right now. Um, there are some changes coming our way, and a lot of people are kind of worried. There's a little bit of tension to see how these new changes are going to take effect and how they're going to change the organization. If you go by transformational theory, this stress is natural during major changes. Also in chapter 1, page 8 discusses social exchanges. In the book, it discusses social exchange as where people make decisions based on self-interest and they weigh the rewards and cost of actions. So in the journal article written by Homans, Social Behavior as Exchange, it just further elaborates how social behavior is an exchange of goods. These can be material or non-material ones. So some examples can be an exchange of behavior for promotions, approval, or prestige. Persons have an expectation of natural equilibrium where they believe that their behavior or their interactions um, will be equal to whatever rewards and benefits they may receive. And when they don't receive what they believe is fair rewards for their interactions, this equilibrium is thrown off, and therefore it can be a source of conflict. In chapter 2, page 21, it discusses intergroup conflict. The book describes intergroup conflict as an issue which will work against negotiation or collaboration. So the book discusses intergroup conflict and states that it's a us versus them mentality. This can be transferred over to employees versus management. A common complaint that employees may have is, that management may have, is that of employees' unwillingness to accept corporate reality. Where if you flip the script, employees might say that management does not show any appreciation for the hard work of employees. So they have these two different opposing views within their groups. Therefore, um, the conflict is polarized and made worse by these groups. The book further states that in order to avoid intergroup conflict, it can be eased by clarifying inaccurate assumptions about the other team, finding common ground, and promoting an environment that leads to a collaborative environment. So, in the journal article, which is referenced on page 21, it's the journal article Cooperative Choice Among Individuals versus Groups in Person Dilemmas, written by Comarita and Laproth. And this is pretty much a study where it studies the size of the group versus that of cooperation. And what it found is that the larger the two groups are, the less likely there is to be negotiation and collaboration. Versus when you have smaller groups making decisions, the more of a spirit for collaboration and negotiation there is. For example, when you take a look at the Senate, when you have both the Republican and Democratic Party, and you have large groups on each side of the Senate, there might not be so much willingness to cooperate. But when you take, you know, three Republicans and three, Democrats, studies have shown that smaller groups within Congress are more likely to collaborate with one another. So, chapter 3, page 53, discusses factors that inhibit effective negotiation. So, one of the factors that was laid out was in the book was framing. Framing is how you pursue the benefits or the pay or the employee wants through negotiation. Uh, this can be done through language. This could be done through your appearance, your body language. Sometimes disputants become so committed to a course of action that they forget about how they present their argument. And it's kind of common sense, the more open you are, the more non-threatening you are, and the more trustworthy you appear, the more likely negotiations are to be effective. So the journal article Negotiations Rationally by Bazerman and Neal, the focus of this article is to consider how managers could negotiate more rationally. That is, reach agreements that maximize the negotiator's interests. And it gave some tips and some helpful tools, such as framing questions in a positive light. Like instead of focusing on, the negatives of a negotiation, like if you don't do this, something bad is going to happen to you, or your demands. You should frame it more like, hey, if you do A, B, and C, this will actually benefit your side, um, because you will get more benefits. So the goal of this type of negotiation is reaching a good agreement where both parties walk away happy. And I feel like this was a little kind of common sense, but it was good to see this framed um, through this journal article. Thank you very much.